And welcome back to my 7th video on how you can play Space Engineers. Now, this video has been a little delayed, again. This time with a more important reason. Apparently, my downstairs neighbor in my apartment had reported a leak. Said leak was apparently traced to my heating system. At the time of this recording, the leak still has not been fixed, and I'm not without central heating. Hence, I was not in the correct headspace to make this video. Before we get started good and proper, can I please have a little request to the viewers? Could you please like, comment, and subscribe? It's been a stressful period for me, and I would really like some positivity. Please and thank you. Now that I explained this, let's blow off some steam. So, let's do this. But before we do this, we need to go out into space to this objective marker specifically. Why? Because some of the ammos we will be using, unfortunately, require uranium. And we don't have uranium. We have all the other bits, like iron, nickel, magnesium. That's the core ingredient. But for rockets, artillery shells, and both the small and the large sabot rounds do need some uranium. Unfortunately, it's an ore exclusive to asteroids. On moons, we can get everything including platinum. On planets, we can get everything except for platinum and uranium. And uranium is only found in space. And it's really hard to find. As you can see by this, I had already did some prep time in order to find a source of uranium. Yes, they're really hard to find. And if you want more proof, here's the monstrosity I put together to find it. Yes, that is a large grid ore detector. Yes, those are large grid solar panels. Yes, that's a large grid connector, which I had connected to this ship to find uranium. So let's just grind this down, get all the components back. Get a quick snack, and head out. Thrusters on override. Let's hit the space and get that uranium. It's quite a ways away. And you're probably wondering, considering what I showed you, how hard could it have been? I mean, it's just some asteroid. How hard is it to look at asteroids? I'll show you. These are all the asteroids I had checked out for uranium. Yes, that is a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. This video definitely needs the prep time. Hence why I just used a large grid ore detector to just check out all these asteroids. They can be big. And the small grid ore detector, even though it's greater than the ore detector in the hand drill, doesn't have the range to check out those asteroids, especially if they're deep. As you can see here, it has a max range of 50 meters. The large grid ore detector has 150. So yeah, checking out asteroids is not always fun. But if you want uranium, which is a or exclusive to space, you're going to need to go to space to find it. Important tip. When you're approaching an asteroid, don't aim directly at it. If you aim directly at it and you want to apply your brakes, sometimes you can misjudge that. And if you misjudge that, it's gonna be rough. As in, you're gonna impact it rough. Point yourself near an asteroid, not at it. Now, we're getting close to the asteroid in question. And we're going to apply the dampeners again. Because that saves us fuel. Now, let's double check our inventory of our ship. It has only some ice. That's good. That could be an enemy station. No, it's moving away. It's no doubt an enemy ship. If we got close, it probably would send drones after us. And this ship doesn't have any guns. Hence why this video is about guns. And there it is, the glowy gold. Uranium. I think around 5K would get us some decent amount of ammo. Now let's head back. Now, let's do a quick demonstration with this unknown signal about what I meant earlier. You're going to go towards a specific asteroid. Don't point directly at it. Aim slightly off. Accelerate to top speed. Or what you think is comfortable. Hit Z to turn off your dampeners. And coast. When coasting, you're not using any fuel. You're not wasting any power. You are just going with the flow. Said flow being your speed. Once you get near, turn on your dampeners, brake, and do what you want. Or in this case, mine asteroids. And as you can see, we are practically in a safe distance, and we can just boost towards it carefully and gradually. Some parts. Back to base, full speed, dampeners off. And gravity has taken effect again. 0.5, 0.6, 0.6, 0.07. And there's our HUD marker for home. I still haven't turned on my dampeners. Might be a smart idea to read them before we crash. Moving in for a safe approach. Not too fast, not too slow. Definitely not too fast. And we're back. And the uranium is being refined right now. Now that we have some special resources coming in, and we basically have everything we need for weapons demonstration, where do we begin? Well, let's begin by extending out a bit to make a firing range. But for that, let's get the next tier of tools. And according to the most recent update, it now wants our previous tier of tools. Let's have a look. Yep. Tier 2 welder, grinder, and drill, please. To the hotbar, character tools, and let's place them in the hotbar. Now we got some better toolage. Let's get to work. And whilst we make that firing range, let's also do some remodeling. I was able to put our solar panel apparatus on this little structure so we can have a better look at the battery and look at how empty it is. Deplete in 1 hour. Luckily, the sun will soon be upon it, and we'll get some fresh energy. Let's not forget about food production. Don't want to go hungry now. Let's just produce a load of material. We might need all that just to finish this platform. We don't need to, but I like it to look pretty. I even added a pillar with a concrete foot. Let's get to work.
Energy low.
My energy is low again. And, of course, so is that of the base. The sun is out, the solar panels are collecting energy, but obviously we have more than one scenario where the sun wasn't out. Obviously we want some power when the sun isn't out. But how do we do that? Well, how about we add a different type of power generation to the base? We have this big hydrogen tank, and we can use something with that. But what can we use? And I was thinking this, the hydrogen engine. The hydrogen engine produces power by consuming fuel, in this case, hydrogen. But once this is going, it's going to take all the hydrogen, and obviously we don't want it to take hydrogen when the sun is being produced. It'll leave nothing for the ship. So how do we do that? Easy. We'll use another event controller. And before we build them, let's give them each a special name. But more importantly, the event controller. Let's name this one Event Controller Hydro. Yeah. With that, we know that this event controller is meant to work with this hydrogen engine. So let's build them up. But before we finish the hydrogen engine, let's go to its control panel, look where it is, and turn it off. I don't want it to use hydrogen yet. I want this hydrogen engine to use the hydrogen once the solar panels have no more energy. And let's use the event controller to set it up. We're gonna look for this power production. No. We're looking for this power output, and we are going to select all the solar panels. And now we're going to take this and choose equal or lesser than. And now we add a value. Let's do 15%. Now, when the solar panels are producing less than 15% power, this event controller can trigger something. Let's set it up. Look up hydrogen engine. Now, if it's lesser than, we put it in the first slot, and the hydrogen engine will be on. If it's not, then it will be off. Now, if everything goes as planned, once the solar panels have no more power being produced, the hydrogen engine will turn on and we'll use the hydrogen in the hydrogen tank. Let's, just in case, collect one load of ice. Just a quick tutorial detour before we're gonna blow stuff up. Now, with that detour out of the way, let's set up some things for demonstration purposes. Apparently I was busy producing some of the ammunition for demonstration purposes, but I ran out of magnesium. Looks like we're going to get some. This'll do. As you can see, I've been quite busy. The fireworks is about to begin. Just be a little bit more patient. Just need to make sure the right ores get refined first. Here we go. Magnesium. And after that, let's do some rocks. The uranium can wait. We have plenty of that now. Just setting up the guns for demonstration purposes with these button panels. If you're wondering how I'm setting them up, I push any of the buttons to access the panel in one at once. This is the railgun. So I type in railgun, and in the first slot, which will be the red button, I'll set fire once. In the second slot, which is the second button, I'll say fire on. And then the last one will be fire off. That way we can demonstrate each weapon individually. Now that I'm finally done with all that work, let me introduce this first line of weapons. First, let me introduce to you the Gatling gun. It is available as a fixed weapon in small grid, and in both small and large grid, also available as a turret. This is the small grid version. This is the large grid version. It fires Gatling ammunition, which is rapid firing. Against small grid, it does intense amount of damage at a maximum range of 800 meters. Against large grid, it isn't that effective though. It is useful though to accurately take out subsystems like other turrets. The rocket pod. Available as fixed weapon and in turret in both grids. It fires rockets. Well, these have amazing splash damage. Saw that bang? Anything in a 5-meter radius is as good as gone. There's one disadvantage with this weapon, though. The projectiles are slow and expensive. I do not recommend using them just against fast-moving firecraft. However, against stations and things that are slow, these are very good as short-range bombardment weapons. This is the autocannon. It fires autocannon ammunition. It has less rate of fire than the Gatling gun. However, they do hit with a slightly greater punch. It's available only in small grid as a fixed weapon and as a turret, which is this one, the assault cannon. The assault cannon is only available in small grid as a fixed weapon, and in large grid and small grid as a turret. Here's the small grid version. Here's the large grid version. Well, it fires autocannon shells. The rate of fire is not great, but it hits with a decent, cheap punch. It does not need uranium for production. The railgun. The ultimate high-penetration weapon. It is only available as a fixed gun in both small and large grid. It fires railgun salvos. This is the small version. its rate of fire is the slowest. It needs a few seconds to recharge. And with a few seconds, I mean more than 10 seconds. The large grid version takes even more power to recharge. The artillery cannon. Only available as a fixed weapon in large grid and as a turret in large grid. It fires artillery shells.
Energy low.
It needs uranium in its production. These are the weapon options you have in Space Engineers. To clarify, the Gatling gun is available in small grid as a fixed weapon and as a turret. The rocket pod is available as a turret and as turrets in both large and small grid. The auto gun is only available as a fixed weapon in small grid and as a turret in small grid. Assault cannon, available in small grid as both a fixed weapon and a turret, and in large grid as a turret. Railgun, only a fixed weapon variant, no turrets, available in both small and large grid. Artillery gun, available as a fixed weapon and as a turret, exclusively in large grid. Now that I gave a demonstration about these weapons, how about we use it on a ship? Let's do that. I'll whip up a quick little attack ship, and we'll set up some targets. Now, let's just build it right here. Let's begin with a connector. A simple cockpit, we don't need anything fancy. A battery. The sun is going down. Let's have a quick look. It's not enough. But when the sun goes down, and those solar panels aren't getting any power, that hydrogen engine will kick in. Now, what else to add to this quick little attack ship? How about a camera right here? A very small oxygen tank, it won't hurt. And some tiny batteries. They won't hurt either. Unless when that happens. And this'll take a while. I'll be right back. And via the magic of editing, I have a small little attack ship for demonstration purposes. I'm even planning on making a connector for it. I'll finish that one up now. And then we'll continue with the demonstration. You see? The engine has turned on. And has already used half of the hydrogen gas. I probably need to consider putting a really big tank here. Like one of these. But I have to be careful. If it's fully fueled up, this thing is as good as a bomb. So I probably need to really think of a good spot to place this big tank. But that'll be a worry for later. Connector done. Let's put this little ship on there. Turn on dampeners. Take off. She's a little on the heavy side. But then again, ion engines aren't as powerful as hydrogen thrusters. Ready for a link. Locked. Well, as that little ship charges up, let's build some targets for these turrets. I already showed how they fire, but now I want to show what kind of damage can they crank out. Let's just build a few materials. Just building the targets some 10 blocks out. That'll be a nice demonstration of range. Just realized that the artillery turret is not at the same height as all the other guns. I'm gonna have to make the decision to place it one block higher. This is a bit higher than intended, but it will still serve our purposes. Now, let's assemble the targets. And those are all the targets done. Considering I have raised the artillery cannon, I also took the liberty to raise the railgun too, because, well, they have to target the same thing for demonstration purposes. I just now have to finish this stock. Now, considering I had to rebuild these two, I have to reset the buttons, and same with the artillery gun. Just in time. The sun is going up. But the hydrogen engine has used all of the fuel. Looks like I'm going to be collecting some fresh gas. And another new update when it comes to food, we can now plant crops in a slightly normal way. As you can see, I've placed plant seeds in my hotbar. All I need to do is point towards a plot, then hit any of the numbers. In this case, I'll push 1 for the fruit. And then, pointing and left clicking plants the seeds. Which is slightly quicker. And if you have nothing in your hand, you can then just left click on these farm plots when they're finished growing to harvest them instead of going through that entire menu thing. I'll demonstrate that some time later. Right now, let's get shooting. And check out what damage these things can do. Do note, the blocks on the end here are the heavy armor blocks. That will be our baseline for this video. First, Gatling gun. 3-second burst. That did some damage. It's down to 88%. Now, missile pod. 1 shot. No damage. How? How did it do no damage? Is this rotor too... Apparently, heavy armor is immune to missiles? Weird. Still doesn't compensate for the fact that this projectile is very slow. Easily dodged, I swear. Alright then. Auto gun. 3-second burst. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, that was a little bit longer than a 3-second burst. What damage did it do? 44%. Let's just fix it up for now and do that again. Let's bring down the height of the rotor. And yes, you can adjust the heights of rotor heads in the game too. Let's get the missile launcher one more chance. Still no damage. Well, apparently we learned this now. Missiles are useless apparently against heavy armor. But I still want to find out what the auto gun does. This time for real. 3-second burst. 1, 2, 3, go. 84 damage. Not bad. Now, let's try out the big guns. Assault cannon. 1 shot. Down to 75. Not bad. Railgun. This thing doesn't go boom, it goes through. 1, 2, 3, fire. Down to 55. Not bad. Note, the large grid variant is way more powerful than this. And now, artillery. 3, 2, 1, boom! Down from 100 to Maybe it has something to do that friendly grids will not be damaged by these weapons. I don't know. Other than these two outliers, those are the damages you can expect with these weapons. Now, I didn't explain turrets properly. And that's because most of these guns have their own variant of turret. There is one turret, though, which will be demonstrated today. First, let's get some interior plate. And just some ammunition. 20 clips will do. And there she is, the interior turret. Most players in the game will never really give this a second thought because it is a dinky little thing that barely does any damage to grids. However, it still has its uses. For example, the ammo is cheap. These are 20 rounds of rapid ammo. Oh, look at how much little space it fills up. Imagine just putting 200 in this. It still won't fill this up all the way. It'll be like 1/3. Maybe a quarter. Now, the reason I built this is to demonstrate all the settings that the interior turret has. Most of these settings will also apply to all the other turrets. Things like this, that, this. I personally will turn this on, because even though rockets are easily dodged, they can still hit hard if they're lucky enough. And if you have enough interior turrets to cover for point defense, that is a handy thing to have. The big disadvantage about the interior turret, it's early game only, and then nobody else thinks about it again. But I could still use it for demonstration purposes. For example, here is special settings. It's set to defend, but you can also set it to target enemy weapons, enemy thrusters, or any power sources. Excuse me, enemy propulsion. And if you need to, you can also take direct control of turrets. Zoom in with mouse wheel. And let's see how much damage it actually does. I don't expect much. There are the bullet holes, and you see, just 3% damage. But don't let that fool you. This thing has definitely enough firepower to take out enemy engineers. There are some in the community who say that the interior turret should just have cargo access from the bottom so we don't have to bother with it, but I personally don't mind. Just look at how deep the ammo pool is. 20 rounds barely filled this thing, not even a tenth. Now that we have discussed weapons, let's use them on a ship. 20 cases of Gatling ammo will do. And just in case, I'm going to add an extra thruster. More precisely, an ion thruster. And by the looks of it, some of the ammo we just produced just went in the gun anyway. Let's get in, take the other case of Gatling ammo in there. Now, I have already set the ship up for how I usually set up combat ships. Now, let's just discuss how I set things up. You can go here, when setting up the hotbar, you can just go here to any blocks. However, if you have weapons, go to this option instead. Just like tool blocks, weapon blocks also can be taken here, dragged in here, and then it will just work with the mouse. As you can see, right there, 2 red dots appeared. That is my targeting indicator. You can also go first person by pressing V. And you now have some crosshairs to use there. I usually install on combat ships an extra camera. Why do I do that? So I can press 2 and use the camera to zoom in on a target. Let's go in for an attack run. Oh, and to get out of camera view, just press F. Now you're in the view you were before, and pressing V will obviously toggle between first and third person. Very satisfying. This ship designed like this is perfect for scouting and taking out small targets, short-range escorts, that nature, very useful. Another thing to note, weapon placement on a ship is important. As you can see, I placed the guns very close to the cockpit. That helps to keep the target cone narrow, so you can hit your targets. I'm gonna install another weapon on this to demonstrate something that absolutely will not work. And there you go. Something that will not work. Now, let's add the weapon to the hotbar. In this case, autogun. As you can see, the cone of fire is extremely narrow. In fact, I am hitting two targets at the same time. But if I wanted to fire at a singular target, I'm either hitting it with one gun or with none. And for everybody thinking, oh yeah, duh, obviously, I will not design it that way. It's way too ridiculous. Yeah, obviously. But, this kind of configuration is also on the T65. You know, that one. Design like this is the rule of cool, but the rule of cool does not rule. Get me? Please use narrow cone fire. Now, let's clean up this mess. There we go. All clean. And you might be thinking, that's very nice. All this firepower for vehicles, but the engineer has nothing. Well, actually, no. The engineer is also packing heat. But not this. This is a dinky little pistol that you start out with. Let's just make one of all the weapons for demonstration purposes. Now, let's go through all the character weapons for the engineer. We have the regular pistol. We have the rapid-fire pistol. And we have the King pistol. Right mouse button gives you lock. And R obviously is reload. Note to all the first-person shooter players out there, if you do the reload trick to keep your weapon loaded, I think that will not work, because I think you'll be literally wasting a clip. Next category, weapons. The normal rifle. Your bread and butter. Punchy. Reliable. And with a little skill, stable and deadly. The rapid-fire rifle. Incorrect. This is the precision rifle. Self-leveling. You don't need to think about controlling that damn mouse. It just works. Good for accuracy, but fire rate is questionable. Now to the rapid-fire rifle. As you noticed, this thing has spread. That was without moving the mouse. This is with moving the mouse. The classic move the mouse back trick. This one has 50 rounds of bullets. The precision has, as you noticed, 8. And the regular has 20. The King rifle has 30 rounds. And is burst fire. Last category. The rocket launcher. Oh yeah. This one comes in 2 flavors. The regular and the precision.
Energy low.
Oh, really? Ruining my fun. One more for the road. And yeah, those are the weapon options for the engineer. Pistols, rifles, rocket launchers. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to clean up my mess. And by the looks of it, all the plants have grown again. So, let's do a demonstration on the new method on how to harvest the plants. Make sure nothing is in your hand. Point at the plant. Going to double check if they are... Whoa. Harvested. Well, that's how you do it. Point, left click, harvest. My inventory is a little bit cluttered with all these guns. Let's do something about that. A little bit of decoration. Ah. Should be here. That'll do. There we go. A weapon locker. It's not specific, but, yeah. Good for getting all this stuff out. The normal rifle and pistol can stay, the rest goes in here. There we go. Less cluttered. Now, let's make something yummy. But what to make? No ramen. Well, let's go for a veggie burger. And that was all I would like to talk about today. Maybe in the future I'll do more in-depth tutorials, but I believe this will do for now. In any way, just call me FK, the engineer. Until then, I'll see you all next time.